Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching this brief ag forecast brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, we're only about a week into fall, and there's already a lot of discussion about what this upcoming winter is going to look like. And so I thought we'd have a little discussion at the beginning today about what some of these long-range weather forecasts are going to look like for winter. And this is what I want you to remember. When it comes to seasonal weather prediction, there are in general only a handful, maybe one or two weather variables that actually show predictive skill, and one of those is ocean temperatures. And when you're talking about winter, that's usually the primary one. So the map you've been looking at here, this is from the CPC, and it shows the forecast for December, January, February of this upcoming winter, and the likelihood of being above or below normal. So you can see the Northwest is favoring cooler, and much of the southern part of the United States here over to the east has a better chance of being warmer than normal, according to the CPC. They have this forecast for precipitation, much above average precip for the Pacific Northwest and the Ohio River Valley going into the Great Lakes, drier along the south, the southwest, into California. You'll notice that most forecasts being released by the government, by private forecasters, are going to follow something like this. And what's interesting is to look back at a year ago. This was the forecast for winter 2020 for precipitation. Wetter across the north interior of the U.S., getting into the Ohio River Valley and eventually in the Great Lakes, and drier along the south. And this was the temperature forecast. Warm, spreading to the northeast, and cool along the north interior of the country. And one of the reasons why last winter's forecast and this winter's forecast look so similar is because of this. Now, we've been talking about this, right? The La Niña last year compared to this year. And at this point a year ago, this is what our ocean temperatures look like. And the La Niña was really going. Well, this is how they currently stand. And you can continue to see that there is, a positive Southern Oscillation Index. It's about 10 now. That's what it was a year ago. While the ocean temperatures aren't quite as cool, the trade winds are still quite strong, and there is plenty of cold water where I'm circling here that's going to surface in this area, meaning that this La Niña is going to have some life to it. Last year's La Niña peaked in February. I think this one's going to peak a little earlier this year, just compared to how fast it's progressing and what the ocean temperatures look like, especially underneath the surface. But this is what we've got. Now, thinking about all of that, I just want to let you know that the ocean temperatures have been cooling significantly since midsummer in that Niña region 3.4. That's the middle of the Pacific. And this La Niña will likely reach down there to a depth of about 3/4 of a degree Celsius below normal. And that's a pretty good strength La Niña, but I don't think it'll be as strong as the one we saw a year ago. Now, why do all these forecasts look something like this for temperature and this for precipitation? Well, we can get an answer at that by using a tool from NOAA. And I've shown you this before, but let's do it one more time. Looking at those ocean temperatures in the middle of the Pacific for December, January through February, we can create a plot that shows precipitation anomalies. Where you see the reds, that would be when there's a La Niña where we expect it drier than normal. So you can see from California to Texas, parts of the Central Plains, from the south to the southeast. It's wetter than average here. In here. That's what we'd expect. Now, we can do the same thing with temperatures. And so let's just flip this over to temperatures, and we can create a plot that gives us this. Now remember, this is a correlation pattern. So where you see the warmer colors, this would represent where if there was an El Nino, we would see warmer temperatures compared to average. And the south would be cooler compared to average. But we have a La Nina, which means these red colors represent cooler tendencies, and the cooler colors represent warmer tendencies because the ocean temperature pattern is flipped. Now I want to remind you of something, okay? When we come back to last winter and look at this one. We look at the temperature forecast, mile across the south. Well, most folks are going to remember last winter by that massive Arctic outbreak in February, right? That's what often punctuates winter forecasts and can throw them way off. These big one-off events that are sub-seasonal. But there are some seasonal factors in there as well. For example, we were calling for above average precipitation here. And what actually happened was 30 to 40 inch deficit in snowfall. It was actually snowier farther to the south compared to average than it was up here in the northern plains. So it's just to show you that even though we have relatively strong correlations with La Niña and our winter weather, those correlation coefficients are generally between 0.3 and 0.5, not between 0.8 and 1. So it's a metric, it's not a perfect predictor though. Just keep that in mind as we're looking at all these winter forecasts. Okay, from there, over the last 72 hours, we still have an upper level low spinning over the Four Corner states, and we've drawn quite a bit of moisture up from parts of the southern Mississippi River Valley, including some big storms down here around Louisiana and southern Mississippi and eastern parts of Texas. And we've started to bring that moisture north. In fact, over the last 24 to 48 hours, we've seen some of that getting here into the northern plains. In the Northwest, this rainfall here came in right about perfect with winter wheat sowing in the Columbia Basin, and it's a good just to see the start of some moisture returning to the Northwest after such a dry summer. Now, thinking about that, what have we seen month to date, and how well did the forecasts do? Well, the forecast picked up on this pretty well, but they were wetter in much of the western Corn Belt than actually happened, especially right in through here. And this was probably one of the biggest forecast busts in Montana, and you can't see it here, but the Canadian Prairie was very dry as well. They did get this right, okay, but other than that, the models missed out on a lot of major features. So, coming into what's going on right now, we're not going to talk about the tropics too much. I'm just going to mention a couple things. Sam over here is going to miss. Okay, in fact, that was too generous. It's going to be way out here like this. And Victor, which is following, is going to stay in the open ocean. We do need to watch the Gulf. We need to watch the Caribbean carefully in October. That's a good breeding ground later. But right now, what we're concerned about into this afternoon is the severe storms in Texas, stretching into Oklahoma. There's some nasty storms down here. You can see them on satellite. Well, the features that are coming together to make this are eventually going to move into the eastern Corn Belt as we get through the weekend. And I thought we should spend some time talking about that, because it's going to be the teaming up of the troughs that are coming through the Gulf of Alaska and this cutoff feature here, this upper level low, that eventually together are going to become part of a cutoff low that's going to sit here over the Tennessee and Ohio Valley. In addition to that, we need to pay close attention to this. This is a pretty powerful typhoon that is expected to get absorbed into the jet stream flow. We call that recurving, and it could set off a wave train pattern that does something like that. And if you notice, that dips a deep trough into central North America. I'll show you that in a few moments. In fact, no, let's look at it now. First of all, take a look at this. Thursday through Friday into Saturday, what do we see? The cutoff here, the weak wave moves just a little bit farther to the east, and it's going to be spreading its rainfall here throughout the day on Saturday into Sunday. But then as we get forward in the forecast, we start to see another cutoff low developing early next week. And this is going to be a problem, because as this cuts off, it's going to sit there and spin through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. See that? And therefore, on the eastern side of this, we're expecting some very wet weather out of that. But what I want to come back to, let's just go backward here, is this. That's that typhoon. Are you ready? Now watch, just watch over here with me. As I go forward, that gets pulled into this trough, and then that makes it across Alaska here. This is next Thursday, and then is forecast to dive down here by the time we get to day 10, which is on October 10th. Now, of course, we have to put a big question mark as to whether or not that's going to happen, but it has happened in the past, and I'm going to show you the end result of that in a few minutes, because this could bring in frost conditions to northern plains, a severe weather outbreak to the south coming through the Midwest, and could really pack a pretty big punch to the mountains in terms of snow. Now, before we get there, we still have this going on. So let's, in fact, let's get that update in there. There we go. The 18Z just came in. Look at the storms we're seeing spread throughout the evening tonight. That's all shower and thunderstorm activity. As we go through tonight into Friday morning, Friday midday, and then Friday afternoon and evening. Again, we see the showers and storms spreading farther to the north, and then once we get into Saturday morning, now they're moving into the eastern Corn Belt. Now they're moving to the Great Lakes, and here comes that first of those two lows coming out, okay? So this is Saturday afternoon and evening, now getting our way into early Sunday morning. So we're watching that moisture spread in this direction. Now after that, I'm going to show you what the European's going to do. Now can you just watch this fast with me? Here we go through the weekend. We've already seen through Saturday, Sunday morning. Ready? This is how the rest of next week shapes up. Remember that cutoff low right here? Watch, ready? Did you see how all the way through next week, that cutoff low which sits here and spins just keeps spreading precipitation in this area? Watch, I'll go backward for it. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That's what we're seeing. And then at the end of this, watch this one right here. That's Saturday the 9th. And the models are diving that trough down here. And again, we got a big question mark on this. But should that emerge, cold air behind it, possibly a severe weather event out ahead of it, and a major change for the middle of October. So I'll watch it. I'll keep an eye on it. I'll put it in my morning report so we can keep a close eye on it for those of you that get those morning reports as well. Okay, total precip. What we've got here, let's just stop this through the weekend. How about there's Sunday by 7 p.m. This is how much total precip we're expecting from the European. This is all going to shut down on the back side of this after we get through Saturday, though, all right? And most of the new precip is going to be added up here in the Tennessee Valley into the southeast along the East Coast. So we see here, this is now Tuesday through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. You notice how these colors didn't change, but this is where we're starting to see the wetter conditions build in here. And that's just going out there to next weekend as well. So that's what we're keeping an eye on in terms of total precip. Now, whole northern hemisphere view for this pattern. Generally speaking, we have seen lower heights and troughing here and then ridging in this vicinity. And the models don't want to let go of that. By day 10, here's the trough in the ensemble that I'm concerned about. That's the big one we just talked about, the recurving cyclone one. But from day 10 into day 11, 12, 13, look at the model. They just can't quit with this high momentum state coming out of the Pacific, deepening this trough and keeping a blocking ridge here and a blocking ridge there. And if it just continues to do that, the pattern just won't let go. And this is all out to October the 15th. It's still there. Now, the MJO is progressing. We're getting up into the West Pacific. That would say that this trough should move. We keep high momentum in the North Pacific. That should push it along as well. But the big question is, how well do these heights here keep this pattern bunched up? Because if they do that, this is what we get in terms of precip. We're wetter in Northern California, through the Blue Mountains, into the Northern Rockies and the Southern Cascades, and wetter into the Canadian Prairie. This has not happened in a long time. Drier in this region. GFS says same thing. That's the GFS Week 2 forecast. So that's your next 15 days of precip. And what I'm telling you is, after October 8th, 9th, and 10th, I think there's more volatility in here than the models are letting onto at this point. From there, what about temperatures? Well, this is what September's looked like month to date. It's been mild except for in the southeast. Where are they going with temperatures? Well, let's blow this up and have a look. From Thursday into Friday, still warm from the northern plains all the way down to the southeast, but that cutoff low is in place here, and it's going to keep things cool. And that's going to progress east. There's Saturday's highs, Sundays, and Monday. And you see it. The cooler air spreads here with the precip. But that ridge builds in behind it, and there's all that warmth. The west rebounds in temperatures pretty quickly. And there's getting into Tuesday and eventually into Wednesday as well of next week. Now from here, let's go out and look at those low temperatures. I'm just concerned in this area, really a little farther to the north here, that on Friday morning we could have cold enough temperatures in the northeast for some patchy frost. It's got to be elevation dependent though, okay? So that's what we're talking about. Because after that, as you saw, the pattern warmed up. What about the day 5 through 10 outlook? Well, you can see the ridge is here with the cutoff low to its south, and the next trough is coming in, and by day 10 through 15, there it is. And what I would call into question is, I believe that this trough is going to advance farther and come through the pattern and not get stuck here. But although the long-range models are stuck on persistence, so the mid-October to mid-November temperature pattern looks like this, mild, it can't happen. That's not how this November or this end of this October, November are going to shape up because of the open movement of the Pacific jet stream, the shifting of the MJO, and the La Niña. And on the precipitation side, if that trough sweeps through, the Northwest is wet. Could we see some drier conditions in the Central Plains at times? Yes. Could we see some stuff kicking up through the Ohio River Valley? That's a possibility. But I am more confident in this than I am in the rest of it. And I'll keep you updated as we start to see and diagnose these new patterns as they take shape. But everything's going to pivot after about October the 10th, which is why I kind of have some hesitation and some lower confidence in my long-range forecast. All right, that's it. You all have a good rest of your week and weekend. I'll talk to you on Monday. Thanks.